to line one. We have Bobby from Los Angeles. Hi, Bobby.
Hey, hi.
How you doing?
Hey, Martin.
Okay.
Basically, calling back again. I spoke with Martin after the show and a couple episodes ago.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, vaguely. We have to unpack very quickly after the show, so we didn't get to talk very long if we did talk. So.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit. I think it's very appropriate that you're wearing the shirt that says "I choose reason," because that's exactly what we talked about.
Okay.
If you don't recall, I said reason is your God, and then you said no, reason is a tool.
Correct.
Yes.
And actually, I also to talk about the YouTube thing and experience with YouTube. I had a big problem with YouTube because a lot of atheists are going at me, and there's a video. That exact video is actually the featured video of YouTube. It says God exists just like Darth Vader, and it's a big joke on the internet. But that was exactly my point that I was trying to make. Those 2 minutes that I called after the show that day is when I spoke to you. And
okay. Well, what is the point that you'd like to make today, or what's the question that you have for us today?
Just in the same thought process. If reason is a tool, then who handed down this tool to you to use without permission? It's not Darth Vader, right?
Well, why assume that the tool was handed to us by someone? Why do you assume that it was a thing that was given?
Because we humble ourselves and we use the word God as means to show that we don't understand.
Well, we don't use the word. We don't use the word God to show that we don't understand. When we don't understand a thing, what we say is, we don't understand this thing. Let's learn more about it.
Okay.
And that is the application of reason to a problem.
If you're trying to use atheism to approach and make religions like Christianity sound ridiculous, then that's fine. Atheism is...
Well, we don't use atheism for that purpose either.
Look,
here's what you're misunderstanding. Atheism is simply a response to theistic claims, right?
Okay.
What that is to say, well, no, let me clarify for you, Bobby, because you have a lot of confusion about these concepts. We hear, and it's not just from Christians, but anyone at all, could make a claim to us about a thing, right? Let's not even talk about gods or demons or heaven or hell or what that. Let's just say Loch Ness Monster, right? Okay, we'll just pick a random thing. Someone who believes in the existence of this thing gives us their position. They give us their reasons for believing it. They give us whatever evidence that they think they have, and we evaluate that, right? And we look at it, and then after evaluating it, we make a decision as to whether or not it is credible. In other words, is any of this, or is this claim worthy of belief based upon the arguments, the evidence, the reasoning, the rationale that I'm being given by the person who does believe in it? Is this sufficient for me to decide, yes, this is a claim that I can consider a true claim worthy of belief? If the answer to that is yes, then fine. But if the answer to that is no, then okay. And I base that upon what I hear and then my evaluation of what I hear. So to be an atheist simply means that we have listened to claims about gods from people who believe in gods. We have listened to the claims. We have listened to their reasons that they give us for believing in gods. And we've thought about it and evaluated it and decided, all right, well, we don't agree. We don't believe in that claim. We don't share your belief in God. And that's all atheism is. Beyond that, atheism isn't a thing that you use to then go on and attempt to make religions ridiculous or something like that. I mean, if at any point and you do see a lot of these arguments between theists and atheists, and the atheists are, ridiculing the theistic beliefs, but that's simply because that's all by way of being a response to what we're hearing. When a creationist comes up with, these wacky notions like, dinosaurs eating coconuts and vapor canopies and what have you, well, they are ridiculous. So that's the response to that. But it's not an act of using atheism to make the religious belief, seem ridiculous. I mean, theism.
I didn't want to go there today.
Okay.
I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
That atheism is a religion.
Well, it's just a common confusion, so that's why I wanted to bring it up, because you seem to be not clear on it.
Well, I do agree that we're not supposed to make people a standard. Automobiles can be standardized, but not people. Then that's fine. But what I mean is, I'm calling today to talk about the same line of thinking. Let me ask you this premise. Do you agree that there is structure in the laws of the universe?
There is
Good.
structure. Well, what do you mean by structure?
Of the universe.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean,
Anything like gravity or two clouds colliding and creating a lightning.
Clouds colliding.
It's not how lightning works. But point. Are there natural laws that exist by which, under which things in our universe, what we call
Right.
natural laws? In other words, are there conditions that exist in the universe that we can find and consistent? Yes, that
Yes.
is the
Do
case.
you
So
want-
conditions, can we just call it structure?
Well,
Or you don't
well-
want to call it structure?
Well, the natural laws exist. We can
the
agree
word
on that.
structure as a form of a metaphor, like the word reason is a form of a metaphor.
Well,
Can we
reason's
just
not a
agree
metaphor. That actually
structure
means
is
something.
in the laws of the universe? Can we say that?
Again, but I mean, again, you're making a lot of sort of wrong equivocations here. But yeah, okay, let's say that there's structure to the universe. Fine, okay, let's move on. So from that,
So
you
you're
deduce
asking me
what?
to give you a physical example that God exists, right?
But we're waiting for you to kind of bridge that gap. If you want to
Yeah,
get
I'm
from
going to
structure,
it right now. I'm telling you that
structure to there, if there's structure in the universe to
I cannot
God
prove
exists.
you the structure of the universe to prove you that there's a God. I cannot build that structure for you, and you realize that.
Well, wait a minute. How does the existence of natural laws point to a God?
How does it? Well, it's the same way as science works. They just take a sample of the whole thing, and then they make their conclusions and say, okay, well, it must be like this. That's our theory. It cannot be proven wrong until it's proven right.
No. My question is very specific. How does the existence of a natural law point to a God?
Okay. So
F equals MA. How do you get a God from that?
This is where we differ, and we're not going to reach a higher level of understanding.
No,
it's just me humbling myself.
Well,
to the
please
point of
stop with
saying,
that.
Listen to me.
You know
Stop.
what? I don't understand it, and
You're right, you don't.
Okay, yeah.
And I would rather call it God, and I take on this journey of finding out what God is through science or through self-understanding or whatever.
Yeah, see,
But
there's
I
just
am the
basic
one who's
concepts that
answering
you're not
question.
understanding, Bobby.
I'm taking the liberty to humble myself and say,
Okay, well, let's stop with that, okay?
Well,
Because
stop.
you're not humbling yourself, okay? You are not humbling yourself when you decide, I'm going to make up a thing and decide that that's my answer and feel justified in that. First, okay, that's not an act of humbling yourself. But secondly, again, you're confusing you're conflating beliefs with knowledge. The idea that how do we distinguish? How do we,
I'm not saying that I believe
No, Bobby,
in personal
listen,
God. I'm not
listen.
saying that,
Bobby, we're going to
if
put you
I
on
talk
hold
to
if you
God, he'll
don't.
talk back to me. I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't think that.
Bobby, it's what you
God
just said.
is an invisible entity on my shoulder, and we converse. And if you don't pay him money, he's gonna, do.
Bobby, I don't
to your
care
face.
about what specific concept of God you believe in. What we're talking about are on general principles. How do you distinguish an idea that you've got in your head that is a thing that you simply believe versus something that you can actually confirm? In other words, what method do you use? What tool? All things being equal, right? In life, we, just in order to get through life from day to day, need to have some sort of process, some kind of method, some kind of technique that we employ in order to distinguish true claims from false claims. We hear claims all the time. So how do you distinguish between ones that are true and ones that are false? When you are looking to buy a car, right? How do you distinguish and someone says, I have a really great used car to sell you. How do you distinguish between whether or not that person is really telling the truth or lying to you? How do you distinguish between whether or not it really is a great used car or if it's a total lemon that's going to break down in a week? Where do you see? We have to have a process by which we understand. And just thinking, well, I like this because it sounds good to me, can and pretty much almost always does lead you down the wrong path, right? Because you can decide that, just because a belief sounds good, if you adopt that as a true thing and then it turns out not to really be the true thing, well, then where are you left? I think you're sort of left in a state of confusion. You're left in a state where Now you'll be making bad decisions in your life based upon having accepted something that you didn't really confirm was true.
All I'm confirming is that there's a structure, and
right. And beyond that statement, what can you say about the fact that we can observe structure in the universe? I mean, just based on that. I mean, that really just tells you, yes, there's structure in the universe. But now, if you want to get to why there is structure in the universe, that's an entirely different question. So there's the observation. We observe that there's structure in the universe, that there are natural laws, that things in the observable universe seem to follow. So now, in order to get from there to what is the cause of all of that, now there is a gap that we have to bridge in order to get from what we see to what we want to decide is the cause for what we see. Okay?
Well,
and it's this part in the middle that's the important part.
Look, I want to say this. If I may quote some people...
do you understand what I'm telling you, though, about how we bridge the gap? Do you at least understand what I'm trying to explain to you with that?
Yeah, it's a leap of faith. And
see, that's where you're missing the boat. There are two ways to do it. One is to take the leap of faith, and one is to say, okay, guy who wants to sell me this big used car, shut up and take my money, right? Here I don't need to test drive it. I will take you at your word. I don't even need to see the car. Just bring it over to my house, leave it in my driveway. I'll meet you with the cash up front. There you go, right? Or there's that, which is taking the leap of faith. Or there is, well, before I choose to buy this used car from you, do I have a mechanic look it over? Do I check out its maintenance history? Do I take it for a test drive?
We're not dealing with physical...
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. You are trying to find an explanation for physical constants in the universe.
The structures of the universe are invisible, like the laws of gravity.
No, they're not.
It's invisible.
No, the structures of the universe are things that we can observe.
I'm sorry. Okay. It manifests in the ways of planets orbiting each other. Okay.
Yeah. These are physical properties of the universe.
Appear in front of you, just like you can construct a car.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
Can I make the structure of the laws of the universe into an actual structure and make it appear in front of you, just like
wait a
cars?
minute.
See, now
the laws of the universe. Do you understand what scientific laws are?
Are you implying that I don't understand what scientific laws are?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Why are you implying that I don't understand what scientific laws are?
Because you seem very confused. So tell me what your understanding of scientific laws are. What do you think they are?
It's a structure. It's
No.
It's something to as far as the science can reveal it.
No, stop.
Okay.
Scientific laws, natural laws, are observations about how things actually work.
Exactly, observation. That's my point.
Well,
the idea of God for me is an observation, and it started off with cavemen looking at the sky and hearing a thunder, calling it tangri. Now in English it's called thunder, and calling it the voice of God.
Yeah, but you know what? What has happened since
the voice of God is actually a sound produced by a lightning.
Yeah, what happened?
We still can't explain what is it that makes this structure of electricity's two electric charged clouds.
Well, yeah. In point of fact, electricity is an understood natural phenomenon.
We're still left with that, and we call that God now. I mean, that's just.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No.
You might call it God, but you're wrong.
Yes. You see, we only see. What has to use the example that you use?
It started off when we were
Bobby, we're going to put you on pause. Okay.
Okay. You're on hold now, Bobby.
Yeah. Here's how it works, Bobby. What happened, to use your own example, what happened in the intervening time from the time when primitive man looked up at the sky and saw lightning and thought it was an angry God being all pissed off and punishing people, from that period in history to today? What happened was we developed the tools that I just described to you, bridging the gap between what's observed and finding out the cause of what's observed. Okay? Before there was the leap of faith, going from I see lightning, God's pissed, to I see lightning, What's causing the lightning? Let's figure it out. And we observe and we learn actual facts. And what happens when we learn actual facts, okay, is that the God explanation is now no longer applicable. It gets thrown out because it wasn't needed, or because it was incorrect, because there was a perfectly natural explanation for the phenomenon. And that's where you're conflating these two things. You think that this process of actually filling the gaps in our knowledge with observation and testing and repeating these observations and testing and independently confirming all this stuff is no different than going, I see structure in the universe, therefore God. And yet there's a vast difference. They could not possibly be two more greatly opposed methods
And
of thinking about
our
things.
understanding
So-
of the universe and anything in it has never been improved by saying God did it and leaving it at that. And
So do you see what we're explaining to you?
I think I brought him back, or did I? Here.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm on hold or no?
Not anymore.
No, not
Okay.
anymore.
We had to put you on hold because you know.
I'm wild. Okay,
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
just-
That's just the
Okay.
God speaking in me. But no, what I want to say is this. All you said right now, all of this on hold thing that you were talking about is telling me one thing only, and that is that we don't have the technology to explain the structure of the universe entirely, or how did
But so what? But
I
that's,
don't think you'll
come
get
to existence.
I
Like,
don't
what is
think
the
you'll- I don't-
intention of
Bobby.
the laws of the universe? Is there
Bobby.
an intention? Is there such thing as an intention?
Yeah. and
There's no evidence that there's an intention in the universe. But regarding your claim that we don't have the technology to explain everything, I don't think you'll find a single scientist out there that claims otherwise.
Well, I can tell you this from a scientist, and it's a very famous scientist, and he keeps saying the same thing over and over
Okay.
again.
There we go.
You got
Well,
about
people
1 minute.
Is the
Okay.
pursuit of science becomes convinced that the spirit is manifested in the laws of the universe, a spirit vastly superior to that of man, and one in the face of which we, with our modest powers, must feel humble. And if it's just the act of being humble that you say there is a God, then you can't separate the wisdom of theism from the strong claim that there is a God. The only thing is that you prove that
Yeah.
you don't believe in a personal God, and you've never denied this, but something in which you call religious is the unbound admiration for the structure of the
Okay.
world.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
as far as science
Yeah, we've
can
heard this
reveal it.
one.
Yeah.
Again, the point is, there are religious scientists in the world, but again, it's immaterial, right? The fact that science doesn't know 100% of everything with absolute certainty is not in and of itself justification for leaping to a God. Even if every single scientific principle, every scientific law, every fact that we thought that we knew about the structure of our universe was demonstrated to be wrong tomorrow, that does not get us any closer to, is there a God who is doing all of this with intent? That would still be a claim for which we would have to use the scientific method to find the evidence for. So I think you're conflating a lot of basic
If
concepts.
science knew what they were doing, it wouldn't be called research. It would be called, something else. They don't know what they're doing. They're just doing research. And
Well, yeah, doing research is kind of all
That's
about knowing what you're
that's-
knowing what you're doing.
That's adding to
Okay.
the body
Yeah.
of knowledge.
Yeah.
So
And
another thing
again,
about
and it's
scientists,
not-
they're
so-
all religious because they believe that the structure of the universe will remain the way it is, and it will not collapse.
okay, Bobby, now you're being silly, and you're
Yeah.
done. Okay,
Yeah.
we've got other callers, so
Yeah, we
you
can't
can
give
call
you half
back
the show
another
yet.
time.
Yeah.
So thanks for the call.
Right. You find these false equivalencies made all the time, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's just very obvious. Basic concepts he doesn't really grasp, right?
Yeah.
You can't just simply
Yeah.
go from here's an observed fact leap to a God.
Well, I especially like tell me what you think natural laws are, followed by dead silence.
Yeah,
And-
well, because that kind of demonstrated. I mean, right there, until you know, this whole thing about knowing
Yeah.
what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Scientifically illiterate people shouldn't lecture on how science works. Just kind of,
Okay.
let's move on.